I created a video a while back called Black in Peru, Lima. Hated it, don't go, couldn't catch a cab and getting searched at the airport. Went semi-viral. So I'm going to respond to some of the most popular comments that I received and give my take on them. Moreover, I'm going to cover the Will Edmond 12 hours in Peru video and give you a couple of positive experiences that I went through. And this video footage is me in Peru to show you that I was actually in Peru, because some people actually questioned whether I even went to the country. So this is going to be your proof. I'm going to show this footage throughout the entire video. First I want to say is I have a tendency to cover all the negative things that happened to me during my trip. But for this round, I'm going to cover a couple of positive things. First I want to say is when I went through the airport, after I went through the security checkout area, I had to go to another area where the woman checked my passport. And I was the only person that she pulled to the side, and she just kept on checking my passport, kept on checking the information. And I asked her, was there anything wrong? She responded, well, we can't find your information in the system. And I told her I entered through the Ecuadorian border. Does that have anything to do with it? And she was like, oh, okay, that's why they didn't input my information in the computer. So she pulled a few strings, got my information in there, and let me proceed. Now, I don't know what would have happened if she didn't give me that leeway. And she was very nice too. Moreover, she had her friend who worked in another cubicle take a picture of me and her. So I posed while she posed, and she took a picture so the woman can upload it on their Facebook. Another positive experience I had was at this computer lab near downtown Lima. There was a girl working there, and I gave her a big bill, and I used the computer for as long as I wanted. And when I was done, she calculated the price and gave me my correct change back. She was very nice and cool, just like the majority of people in Peru. People had a misconception that I was talking about some of the indigenous people when I was referring to these racist people or bad folks who was exerting this negative energy, and I wasn't talking about them. What I was really saying was the indigenous people were the cool ones from my experiences. I was saying that the area near Ecuador was cool. I liked it. It was a tranquil energy. But when I started to inch closer to these cities and being around these mestizos, these are the people who I felt some type of tension in the air. So it wasn't everybody, just a select group of people. But unfortunately, with humans, we tend to let the negativity stick out in our minds more. That's just what it is. Let me cover getting searched at the airport. The woman who searched my bag job was to search bags. Her job wasn't to look at my passport. I didn't give her my passport or any information about my trip. Her job was to look at that computer screen, see if there was any anomalies, and if there wasn't, to let me go. The problem is she looked at me dead in the eye, ignoring everybody else, turning over my bag, flipping it inside out as if I had some illegal narcotics on me. I was the only black guy. She ignored all the white people and all the Hispanic people. She wasn't in control. She wasn't part of the passport control department. One of the most prominent comments was by, I'm not going to say the person's name because they might change it later on, but let me read the comment, so bear with me. It said, I was born in Peru, and last year I took my husband to Peru. He is so-called black, and he had the most profound experience. He was treated as a king. People treated him better than me, to the point that he did not want to come back to the USA. And after watching your video, I can explain why your experience was opposite to his. First of all, you arrived to the frontier with Ecuador. She said she would explain later. Second, you went straight to Sullana. That city is the most dangerous city in North Peru. People get murdered for a couple of dollars, so you are blessed. That guy who took you to the ATM didn't shoot you nor stab you to clear up your bank account. You are so blessed that he only swindled you with a couple of dollars. When we went to Sullana, my husband was fully aware of this, and we took all the precautions needed. Let me stop right there. I understand that, because the cabbie guy in the white van kept on telling me, put your tablet away, keep your electronics down, because people will ride up on these doom buggies, I guess smash the window and take your items. So I had to put my stuff down. And it's very interesting too, because I didn't see that many people walking down the street, but I would see these cars and these doom buggies everywhere. If I knew that that city was dangerous, forget an ATM. I would have used my debit card right there on the spot inside the bus station. Real talk. Let me continue reading the comment. When you were already on that bus, when people found out that you speak English, you said that everybody was trying to communicate with you. That's my people. Let me stop right there. And that's the thing about Peru. The majority of Peruvians did exhibit a southern hospitality that South Americans are known for. It's just a few people who got this superior or prejudiced attitude or whatever energy in the air that I can feel. Let me tell you about this racist incident that happened that I didn't cover in my first video. When I went up in a Chinese spot, I sat down. Now, I'm going to be honest. I cannot remember if the couple was already there or if they came in after me. I believe they came in after me. But they sat down and you could clearly tell that they didn't eat anything. And while I'm trying to communicate with the staff in English, they went to go and get an English speaker from the back. I guess she was a chef or something. I'm not sure. But while I'm waiting, I could see these people sitting at the table across from me, steady looking at me, talking, and then they get up and leave. Only time I felt an energy like that was when I was in, I think, northern Kentucky. Family was on the way to Florida, stopped at an IHOP, because I love IHOP. White family sitting next to us, looking over at us. They all got up and left, and you could clearly tell that they didn't eat anything. That's the last time I felt something like that. Let me continue reading the comment. Once you arrived to Lima, you went to the historical center. The Chinese place that you are talking about is near the downtown. The downtown is beautiful, but it's not the safest, nor taxis are allowed to stop. Y'all hear that? By the way, not all cars that look like taxis are taxis. Many people in Lima drive cars that look like taxis, but it is their personal transportation vehicle. You get it? That makes sense, okay? Because like I said in my other video, every other car was a cab, literally. Almost. They was those people's personal vehicles. I feel that. And if that area was not a designated stop, I understand why no one would pick me up. There's one problem with that. When I went to the hotel and I walked to the main street, I still couldn't catch a cab. You can't tell me that main street down the street from my hotel wasn't a pickup zone neither. People went out of their way not to pick me up in Lima, except for when I was near the airport. Now, the comment goes on to say that the cabs could have got a ticket for picking me up in a forbidden area simply because I was holding money. That's what motivated him to stop. And like I said in my video, he kept on looking over, not really looking over his shoulder, but glancing in that rear view mirror back at me. And from what I understand, people actually rob taxis out there. Also, this commenter was saying that Chinatown. So the Chinatown section is very dangerous because the Asians and the Africans in the areas are known for doing some grimy stuff. So of course people have a prejudgmental attitude towards anybody of those nationalities. The lady said that I was actually blessed that they did not put me through an x-ray machine and check me thoroughly. But I guess my energy and the way I was carrying myself, like no matter how much they potentially got caught up with my skin color, they figure like this guy ain't doing nothing. We just gonna let him go and not create any inconvenience for people. And the commenter goes on to say that no matter if you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, or even Peruvian, they can the authorities can introduce their fingers inside your rectum. I ain't want that. Whew. Next comment says that I was not really prepared to do this trip. You're right about that. Normally when I travel someplace, I always do research. Always. I'm reading. I'm watching YouTube videos. I'm accessing blogs, forums, any and everything that I can to learn about a place. And normally when I do that, I tend to have an alright experience because I know where to go and what not to do. The problem with Peru is that I had a feeling that I was going to visit a country in the future, but I didn't think I was going to visit it then. When I went to Peru, my goal originally was to get to Brazil. So either I was going to fly from Bogota to Leticia, Colombia, cross the border into Tabatinga, Brazil, and then sail the Amazon River. Or I was going to go to Lima, Peru, through Ecuador, the route that I took, get my Brazilian visa in Lima, and then take the bus and cross into Brazil from there. But it didn't work out like that. You got to remember, my trip was a spur of the moment decision. After I talked with that woman who was from my neighborhood, she taught at the high school that is 4 blocks from my house. After I talked with her at the city bank, after I left the local Colombian bank that wouldn't accept my international debit card, she clearly recognized me. I looked like a hood dude from her neighborhood. She suggested that I didn't go to Venezuela. And based on some of the comments that people left, luckily I didn't go to Venezuela because it would have been horrible. I didn't have time to do any research. My evaluation of Peru is based on what I experienced in Colombia and Ecuador. See, I could have said, hey, everything I experienced in Lima, we're just going to put that aside. We're just going to put that to being in South America. That's how South Americans act. But the problem is I just came from Colombia and Ecuador, and I didn't experience any heavy racial discrimination in Colombia. I didn't even experience it at all. Maybe like one time in Ecuador, maybe 2 times. But in Peru, it just seemed like a constant bombardment of just small, nitpicky racial discrimination. So yes, to the guy earlier, I didn't know anything about Peru, but this time I'm going to do a lot of research and learn everything I can about the entire country, including the history, before I go. Keep in mind, everyone, that I judge my experience based on what I went through in Lima. The rest of the country is probably not like that. And I had a few Afro-Peruvians who said, yes, it is very racist. My people are very racist and prejudiced here. From what I hear, based on the comments, it's all about how you look in Peru. You look respectful, you're going to get treated with respect. The reason I have a problem with that evaluation it's because I've been to several other countries, and everybody is not like that. And I think that's another reason why people felt some type of way about me being around, because they thought I was Afro-Peruvian. Yes, you see Afro-Peruvians around who sort of look like me, but you don't see many. They look like George Lopez. And for all the people who's saying that the guy in the white van who said he was African or he was black like me but didn't look black because he had a lot of Hispanic or Mestizo features, what I'm saying is he didn't have the obvious Africanoid features. Most Peruvians are classified as white when they come to America. They mark white. Any Peruvians out there, tell me if I'm lying. Oh, sit down and I guarantee you during the census, when they ask your race, they ask, are you black? Are you white? Are you Native American? Are you this? Are you that? But they ask if you're Hispanic after that question or before that question. And for the people saying that there are ignorant and racist people everywhere, I agree with you. But in Peru, it seemed like there was a whole system built around this. Just like in America, I could clearly tell the difference. And for the people who's saying, okay, yeah, man, I'm from a Latin American country. I'm from Peru. And when I fly to America and I go to Europe and I go to places like this, they pull me over to secondary inspection. Everybody experienced that. Why do you think they pull you over to secondary inspection? Because although you might feel like you're white, you might mark white or whatever, you might even look white. You might be light-skinned mestizo. Real white people, Europeans, Caucasians, whatever, they can look at your phenotype, facial features, and tell that you're not one of them. So automatically, if that person who's working as a border patrol agent has a supremacy, prejudice, racial mentality, they're going to automatically push you to the side, and all the stereotypes they feel about your people is going to come up. That person is from Peru. They must be a drug smuggler. Let me check them. So do you think you're not getting discriminated on when you get pulled over to secondary inspection? Sometimes it's random, yes, but sometimes it ain't, clearly. And one more thing. For all the people who said that I have an attitude, let me tell you this, man. I talk a lot of mess on my YouTube channel, but when I'm in the streets, I'm quiet than a church mouse. Silent. Analyzing. Serious demeanor. Not acting ghetto. Not talking loud. Or just being ignorant. I'm analyzing everything. That's what I'm doing. For all the people who don't believe me, if you believe I got a chip on my shoulder, Let me brush that chip off. Look. Go to Peru for yourself, man. Your experience may not be mine. That's one thing I'm learning about Peru. And that leads me to Will Edmond, who spent 12 hours in Lima. Will, if you're listening to this broadcast, I'm not throwing you under the bus at all. I could tell that you're a real positive and bubbly dude, and people are going to respond positively to you. You give back the energy that you put out. That's just the law of attraction, the law of karma, whatever you want to call it. Me, I have a more serious demeanor, so people tend to respond to that. And from what I learned later, based on some of the comments on my Black in Peru Lima video and the outside research that I have done, each neighborhood in Lima is different. Each has a different vibe, different type of people, different security levels. So what I'm going to experience in one neighborhood may not be what I'm going to experience in the next. All the other people you see on YouTube and everywhere else giving Peru a positive praise is based on one neighborhood, Miraflores. Will Edmond spent only 12 hours in Lima. I spent about 3 days. He clearly went to the high class tourist areas because the streets were clean, people dressing in business suits. So he was clearly in the tourist area. Will Edmond got the tourist treatment. Moreover, it didn't look like he hopped up in a regular taxi. It almost looked like it was a car hire because the dude who was driving the car was, I think, white, or at least light-skinned Peruvian. But let me go even deeper on this video. Will Edmond introduced a security guard who was in the park. Said, hey, the security guard, he's from Oklahoma City. Look at him. Here he is. And the security guard was very friendly. Why did the security guard approach him? Very interesting question. Lima can go either way. And you got to remember, I went through Quito. And I read a few comments that was like, if you go to Quito, that won't happen. It's a wonderful city. I agree. Peru, those looks, man, I couldn't get over those looks. Those same looks I get in America. And some people acted on those prejudgmental looks I was getting. Jefe. Yes. Acá va a subir, ¿ya? Te vas a acá. Okay.
Ya, mira, acá.